Welcome to another episode of Ask MA the podcast. If you want to be part of the show, let's say you have some stories, questions, or if you need some advice, send me a message on my social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at MABuendiaHD and I will give you a call. Okay, guys, so we have a guest on the line. He is Kenneth, 24, from Parañaque. Hello, Kenneth. Welcome to the show, and how may I help you?
Hi, MA. Thanks for having me here. Before I share my question to you, let me share a bit of a background on this question. It's almost been 4 years since I finally come into terms with my identity being a bisexual,
Okay.
although I've not yet come out to my parents. I've also formally left my religion very recently. Being agnostic, MA, I still wonder, and I want to know from your perspective, in this era where we're slowly getting progressive, do you think that faith or religion and the LGBT identity will ever reconcile? Or if not, what is your advice to those who are still skeptical about their paths, who experience the same conflict?
Very interesting, actually. And to be honest with you, we're not there yet. So people think
Mm-hmm.
that Philippines is very accepting of the LGBT, but there are still a lot of people who are just being tolerant. There are still religious biases that need to be addressed, and right now, a lot of people are still holding on to the belief system that
Mm-hmm.
Philippines is a Christian nation. That's why we have to preserve the sanctity of marriage, or we have to follow whatever is written in the Bible. And feeling ko, bukod dun sa acceptance or the LGBT, I think there are more issues na mas pressing, especially for human rights, like divorce, yung mga ganyan. Same sex, I don't think it's possible in my lifetime. I'm happy that there are a lot of especially the young ones right now, or the millennials, who are actually being very as you said, progressive or open-minded when it comes to dealing with their sexuality. What religion were you born into, or I mean, did you grow up with?
Well, I was baptized as a Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually I was baptized into this rather bigger religion. I hope it's okay not naming it,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
mhm,
but it's way more conservative, or
yes, it is. It is
okay.
very conservative when it comes to the doctrines, I can say.
Okay. Okay.
I formally left them. I did not really specify about my sexuality. I'm not sure if it's just me, but it's rather personal.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of fueled my depression
Mm-hmm.
because it's been a lifelong internal conflict.
There is really a conflict. Minsan nga parang iniisip nila it's hypocrisy that they're preaching about equality and all that. Kasi nga, based sa Bible, it's a sin, or whatever. As long as it's not really costing you anything, like relationships with your family members, or with your job, or with whatever you're trying to pursue in life, it's best not to really overthink about it.
I eventually came to that point of being skeptical about everything.
Yeah.
Um,
How did it happen?
I cannot attest whether or not God is real or
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not closing my doors to going back to religion
Okay.
so long as, it can reconcile with our way of life. I think my agnosticism has
Mm-hmm.
started even when I was still part of the church.
Yeah.
Parang nag-start na lang din eh. Not only with LGBT per se,
Yeah.
but to many many things, I found it rather contrasting. May mga aral na
Correct.
would not agree to each other, and
Yes.
those things fueled my current belief system. Right now, I do not belong to any religious organization,
Mm-hmm.
but my parents, my father does not know. My mom still encouraged me to pray.
Yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes I pretend to pray for the sake of.
Yeah. I started becoming an agnostic, or an atheist now, in 2013 or 2014, within
Mhm.
that period. So I started asking a lot of questions, but before na talaga, pilosopo na ako. So parang akin, like, no sense, especially whenever I hear. So, masyado akong maraming friends no, ng mga Muslim, iglesia, mga Christian, dating daan. As in, very interested ako when it comes to learning about the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, and all
Mhm.
that. So, kapag may mga naano ako na contradicting, so parang I kept asking na parang, bakit ganito dito sa ganitong verse or bakit ganito, ganyan-ganyan. So parang, ang dami kong nire-research, binabasa, and then eventually yun na nga, yung ang dami kong na nakikita, parang feeling ko same lang tayo na
Mhm.
naging reason kung bakit tayo parang nag-research or parang question natin yung faith natin. It's because yun nga,
Yeah.
marami ngang tayong nakitang mga discrepancies and yung mga judgmental, they still have this thinking that as long as you're funny or as long as you're beneficial, I mean, I can tolerate you or I can accept you. Pero
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's a judgment day. You're the one dealing with Satan, or you're the one dealing with hell.
Love the sinner, hate the sin.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think that's what they always advocate.
they
Yes.
have those BS, thinking or those
Mhm.
mindset na especially the boomers or those mga matatanda, alam mo yun,
Totoo.
you cannot really bend their beliefs or you cannot change their mind. So it's very hard, and the only thing that we can do is to be confidently who we are and be kind, be nice, inspire the new generation, especially the kids right now, seeing that, oh, okay, just because he doesn't have a religion or just because he's not as religious as I am, but I can
Mhm.
see that he's decent or he's doing good things.
Mhm.
Maybe kindness is just basically common sense, and it's not based on what's written on this book or
Yeah.
whatever, or something like that. And then there's no harm naman pala in being expressive, or there's no harm in just living your best self or your true self. Kasi yung iba, parang may kino-compensate, di ba? Parang you have to always prove yourself. Parang every
Mhm.
single day you have to make sure na you won't disappoint other people because you're compensating, for not being normal,
Mhm.
sa paningin nila. It's good that you express yourself or you speak up for those people who can't. Sometimes I feel guilty or I feel sad kapag I just kept quiet, especially if it's something with like racism or
Mhm.
anything. Kasi parang you have enabled it eh. Parang, di ba, kasama ka dun sa, ano yun, sa kumonsinti ng ganong bad attitude or bad mindset. So ayun,
Mhm.
when I started being like that, at first, parang you felt guilty or sometimes very ano ka, argumentative, or parang sometimes I always try to convince people na parang what you believe is wrong, or parang I always challenge their belief system. Kanya-kanya tayo ng past, kanya-kanya tayo ng
Mhm.
experiences growing up. So some of them, they are just really indoctrinated or brainwashed or something
Mhm.
like that. You know what? Sometimes I envy people who are very religious kasi especially
Mhm.
in times of like this, like very uncertain, or in times of stress, they have something na parang they can call on. They have something that they can pray to, or something like that. Kasi
Totoo, totoo.
alam mo yun, merong comfort dun eh. So sometimes kung saan sila naniniwala, especially ngayon na may pandemic, before KJ ako talaga like parang dasal-dasal pa, or parang akin masyado akong pilosopo kasi ever since. So minsan iniisip mo, kanya-kanya tayo ng coping mechanism. So some
Mhm.
people, it's just their source of strength, their
Mhm.
faith. Wala naman akong issue as long as you're not a bad person, you're not harming
Mhm.
anyone. I don't care whatever faith you have, as long as you're not really stepping on someone's shoes, or you're not using your religion to as a sword rather than a shield.
Mhm.
Kasi yung ibang tao nakakapikon lang kapag
They
they're
rub it in
using
your faces, 'di ba?
yeah, and they're using their religion to change the law, or to prosecute other people. So yun yung ayoko talaga, na parang they are acting as God's army on earth, which is
Very condescending, yeah.
yeah, and I don't like that. I have an issue with those people kapag ganun na nakita ko sa timeline ko na very judgmental sila, and they feel they are better than anyone else because of their faith, or minsan inisip nila na saan nanggagaling yung morals mo given na parang you don't believe in religion or in God.
How do you know what is right or
Yeah, how
wrong?
do you
Yeah,
know
I
what is
also
right or
relate to
wrong? Like
that.
akin parang it's just common sense. Ang hirap pa ipapaliwanag mo siya kasi syempre when I was still a Catholic noon, I remember kapag may nami-meet akong mga atheist or agnostic, ang tingin ko agad sa kanila parang sugo ng demonyo. So, ibig sabihin gano'n din ako na-indoctrinate noon, na parang gano'n din na-build yung mindset sa'yo. Kasi syempre sa school, sa bahay, sa society, the way they teach about, the second coming, or I mean yung rapture, yung whatever na ganyan. As you grow older, you just don't give a shit kapag yung mga,
Yeah.
alam mo yun, pag may mga tao na parang hindi ka naiintindihan, or anything like that. I mean, as long as you're not a criminal, wala akong kaso sa'yo kahit pa. Sinasamba mo bato or whatever. Yun. Pero kanya-kanya naman tayo ng point of view when it comes to that. Iba kasi sa kanila, very personal ang religion. So,
Mhm.
when you talk about it or when you try to challenge their belief or anything, for them parang pinapamukha mo sa kanila na parang they made a wrong decision or parang they're idiots or just be who you are and then you will find your tribe. Those people na hindi mo na
Yeah.
kailangan i-explain kung ano ba yung pinaniniwalaan mo or kung ano ka ba talaga.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think I would really say the same thing to my 19-year-old self. And thank you for having this discussion. It really opened, a door of sudden realizations on my decision, and I've come up to that conclusion that it wasn't a bad decision after all. Thank you
Mm-mm.
very much for the discussion, Emma.
Not a problem, Kenneth. So again, if you have other concerns or anything, like for example, may mga issues, just let me know and then we will have another call.
Sure,
Right?
definitely.
Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing your story and being part of the show. Bye.
thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
Okay, guys, so that has been Ask MA the podcast. Thank you so much for being with us. And again, if you want to be part of the show, go ahead and share your stories, ask me some questions or advice. Just message me on my Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at MA Buendia HD and I'll give you a call. I love you for listening and let's talk next time. Bye.